Hyello. Well, you read the title. Let's make some damn plants in the most effort-needing but able to stay alive always kind of way. Beginning with an easy cactus. Taking it back to 2015 with how I'm taking these in and out of the shot. All materials are from the dollar store, by the way. We have some felt, preferably green, but any tone of green. And hey, if you want a purple cactus, that is your prerogative. Embroidery thread of any color, again, your prerogative. But I have chosen green, a needle to go with that thread, with or without black thread already attached apparently. Whoop. Some type of writing utensil, even chalk would work. A tape measure or a ruler. Scissors. A little pot. A little pot, not like marijuana or like the devil's lettuce, but or a bigger one. Just know that this will dictate the size of your plant. Knowing this cactus will have the option to go all the way to the bottom of this pot means that I am measuring my felt to ensure that it's long, or well, tall I suppose, enough from the bottom of my pot to how tall I actually want it to be. I'm not using actual measurements because it's really just not that serious. It does not need to be that sharp. Hehehe. Once that outline is in order, it's time for cacti, or cactus, to cut it out. Was that a reach? Look, my point is that I'm cutting this out. For this type of cacti, I use 3 groups of 2 pieces of felt, so 6 pieces altogether, which eventually will be, 1, but for now, it's a group of 2 is getting pricked, stuck together, using a running stitch. Some good music, as this is going to be a decent process. And the rest, done. Just kidding. Why am I showing you a random piece of embroidery thread at the end of the needle? You ask, because I finished with that much left to spare and I was quite pleased with myself, to be honest. Now to put them all together, straight-ish, down the middle. Using the same mark that I had already used, but the other end, I'm pushing in each of these sections so they are easier to stuff, which brings me to the second to last order of business, the stuffing, which is just pillow stuffing. This you can get from select dollar stores. I've seen it in dollar stores, but mostly you can get this from Walmart, or the inside of your pillow if you're feeling daring. To which I am taking a piece, rolling it around between both of my hands, and then pushing it into each section as much as I can, and then pushing it farther with the pen's booty. Now you can totally stop here and it looks like a cactus, but I went one step further and used very, very short nails to act as the pricks on the cactus. Next up, string of pearls. Again, a little pot, some type of string, whether it be embroidery thread, a cotton blend, you know, whatever, and some cotton balls of varying sizes, which took me a hot minute to go through. Some hot glue as well as the gun needed. Pick the balls you want to play around with. That came out really that came out really wrong. And then I'm using floral foam as well for these, so they have something to actually attach onto. I'm using the other half in the next plant. Pick the color of string that you want and match it as best as possible to the balls. If you, I can't, pom-poms, let's call them pom-poms. If you are using a thicker string, the next step is not necessary, but because mine wasn't as thick as I wanted it to be, I cut these to the length I wanted them to hang down, and so it was easier to glue the pom-poms to. I used 3 pieces and braided them together. Using a dab of hot glue to keep that onto the table, and then braid. And then to keep it together at the very end. I started gluing one by one by one by one. And then filled any more sparse areas with even more. I wanted the 2 of them to be varying colors, so I just, you know, did that. To fill around them, I added some hot glue and faux moss, and then take other plants that I had on hand, basically just the leaves from faux plants, but you can definitely get these from the dollar store as well. And lastly, a Venus flytrap. If you guessed you needed a small pot, you were right. But also you need bottle caps, some type of glue. I originally used super glue, but then I quickly switched over to hot glue, red acrylic paint, and various tools. Definitely pliers or wire cutters, and definitely tweezers. Then more of that felt, which I didn't show on screen, but I still used it, I promise. And then finally green pipe cleaners, which in retrospect get covered anyways, so really they can be any color that you want them to be. But starting off, I'm using the wire cutters to bend the bottle caps in half, which, let me just tell you, is harder than it looks. These are sturdy motherfuckers. Oh my god. Good thing about these though is that no two bend the same, so you'll never have to worry about having the exact same Venus flytrap. Once they have been bent though, I'm going to be painting the inside with red acrylic paint and waiting for that to dry down, while simultaneously getting it all over my hands. Now with the pipe cleaners, as I said, I had used super glue to start, but I realized quite quickly that hot glue was the way to go, both because it dries down faster and for the buildability. Not entirely sure that's a word, but we're going with it. Bending the pipe cleaners in half, definitely hamburger style. If you can fold these in hot dog style, then I fear you. Genuinely fear you. And sticking the two edges onto either side of one of the halves of the bottle caps, and then again with two new pipe cleaners to the other half, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of confusing when I say it out loud. And building it up a little to make sure that they're really stuck there. Then twist all of the pipe cleaners together. It amazes me that there was actually a time where these were used for the purposes besides crafting. Once the twisted creations are done, it's time to add more hot glue and felt along the edges of the bottle caps to create the appearance of teeth from the edges of the bottle caps. Once they are sufficient, it is time for the felt to become more of a blanket of green felt around them. I can't really explain this further because it was honestly just a struggle and I'm not entirely sure when it became the finished product, but there you go. And finally, to actually fit into the pot, it may be able to be done without the help of some extra hands and devices, but I wasn't able to get it to stay, so I asked my good friend Hot Glue and we got it done. Again, adding a little piece of the faux shrubbery. But that is it for today's video, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!